Thank you so much for joining us today for our Criminology webinar. We will get started and do our housekeeping. So, my name is Caitlin. I'm one of the Access Project Officers here today, and I'm here with Keely, who is a current student, so she's going to be able to tell us all about her current study and what she's been up to. Today's presentation should be about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how chatty we're feeling, but hopefully we can keep it vaguely in that time frame. If you all can keep your camera and your microphones off, it just minimises that background noise and lets us go through the presentation nice and smoothly, hopefully. We really do want to hear from you though, so if you've got any questions, if you can type them in the chat bar, we're really happy to answer them, possibly as we go, depending on how timing's going and what we need to cover, or either at the end. Just make sure if you do have a question, you're popping that in the everyone sort of category so that everyone can see it. Often someone has the same question, or maybe they're not feeling quite as brave but would like to know the answer as well, so please put that to everyone. We might, just before we go too much further, just make sure everyone can see and hear us. If someone can type in the chat bar that you can see and hear us. Yep, perfect. We'll keep going. Information today is for domestic applicants. So if you're an international student, please stick around and keep watching, because the course information will be the same. It will just be the application information towards the end. So definitely stick around to hear that initial info and get in touch with us for those specific international application details. If you can't hear or something goes wrong during this session, there's a couple of troubleshoots you can do on the screen there, or also you can go to the WebEx website. If none of them work, I guess just let us know. We can't do too much right here, but we can certainly give you some advice on where to go and possibly either view this webinar again, find it on YouTube, or contact someone that can give you some similar information. All right. Let's press ahead and get right into it. So today's webinar, what are we going to actually cover? We're going to talk to you about studying criminology, so give you a bit of an overview about what it's about, what you might study, that kind of thing. We're going to give you some advice to find out more, so if you find today interesting and want to go further, you can find out more. We're going to talk to you about career paths a little bit, so we'll touch on that. We're going to hear from Keely about her story as a student that studied some criminology. And also, like I said too, we are going to give some information about how to apply. I might just ask, if you've just joined us, if you can make sure you're on mute, that would be great, just to minimise that background noise, as I said. But we will keep going. Okay. So, why might you come and study criminology in Flinders University? Well, I guess you can see on the screen there's a few great reasons why. Our research is a really fantastic thing that we have at Flinders, some world-class research that's pretty exciting that happens here. Also, you can see they're #1 uni in SA for teaching quality, so our students have a great experience overall and really find the teaching of a big, huge, good standard. We are also the biggest program in South Australia for criminology and the oldest, so we sort of have been doing it for the longest time here in SA, and pretty well renowned for what we're doing, for how we're teaching, for what we're teaching, and the research that's happening too. So some really great reasons to maybe come and study here with us at Flinders. What is criminology? I guess this is where sometimes there can be a bit of confusion. I know lots of people in the crim faculty like to say that it's not CSI. Yeah, Keely?
Yeah, it's not like what you see on TV, like in shows like CSI, Criminal Minds, etc. It's not quite, being presented with a scenario where you have to get into the mind of a criminal and try and figure out their next move. It's not quite like that. It's more about just what is crime, about crime, and the systems and research around that kind of area.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's still really exciting.
Still really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be deterred.
Slight different. Yeah, don't let that turn you off. Hopefully you're not turning off the webinar right now. Stick around to hear more. But yeah, it is about sort of the systems behind crime a little bit, those statistics, that data, how it all works, what are the patterns, why does it happen? Yeah. Lots of really interesting and exciting stuff, and hopefully we can hear a little bit more about what Keely's been studying as we go through as well, to get a bit more of an idea about what it is and what it isn't. It can be one of those ones that a little bit misconceptions are out there, I guess, sometimes, one that's a little bit harder to understand. So, like we were sort of saying, we want to give you an idea of what criminology is all about and what you might study. So these ones here are just an overview of some of the topics you might study. So it's really hard to capture everything that you might study, especially because a big part of university is kind of individualising your timetable, what you're studying, when you're studying, that kind of thing, and you do get to choose electives and things like that. But I guess to give you some idea, there's some pretty exciting stuff, things like policing in society, criminal networks, the Italian mafia down there, organised crime, terrorism, so some really sort of meaty subjects that are pretty interesting in themselves. My sort of big tip I like to give is jump on the website. It's a really great resource, and look for that yellow button. I've put a picture of one on the screen there for you. That yellow button will give you the exact study program. So it's no secret what you're going to study. They can give you each topic. You can have a look at that topic itself, have a look at what the assessment is like, have a look at what the time commitment is like. So it's a really great place to start sort of doing your own research and having a look and trying to start weigh up the differences between different topics as well, and different streams. And yeah, great place to start, I think, getting that information. So I definitely recommend you have a look there if you're interested. And alternatively as well, get in touch with us if you want to know more. I'll give you the contact details towards the end of the webinar. But yeah, definitely have a look, get in touch, ask us the questions, ask us on chat today as well if you've got any already. We're really happy to help answer those as well. To hear about what it really is like and what the study looks like, I guess, in real life, that's what we've got Keely here for today. So Keely, do you want to tell everyone what you're studying and why you chose it, maybe, to start with?
So I'm studying a combined degree, a Bachelor of Laws and Legal Practice honours with Criminology. I will note that my Criminology degree is a smaller component than the law degree. So some of those topics you would have seen on the last slide I actually didn't take, because to do a combined degree, the study program for each individual degree isn't as large or as many topics as it would be if it were single degrees. But you still get a really good idea of what criminology is all about, and you get the core information in a combined degree. And I chose to study criminology because I was quite interested in the legal system as a whole, which explains why I chose both law and criminology together. But criminology in particular actually interested me before law. I was set on criminology a little bit earlier than law because we had a representative from Flinders Crim come to my school when I was in year 10 and talk to us, and she was wonderful, and I felt like this is what I want to do when I came in, when she came, and she actually ended up being one of my last lecturers in the criminology degree. Awesome. So it was a nice, came full circle there. Then tacked on law in year 12. I kind of decided on that, and here I am today still doing both of them.
Awesome, yeah, and that's a really common one that people, again, if you're not familiar with university, might not be too aware of, but the fact that you can do those sort of double degrees or combined degrees or different specialisations, there's a few different words for them, that a lot of people do look into. The other thing, I guess, that's up there on the screen that people might be looking at is honours. Again, not something that always everyone understands, especially if you're not familiar with all the university jargon. There is a lot of it. Do you want to tell us what honours means or what that looks like for you?
At least in law, it's a little bit different in criminology, but the concept as a whole is basically you get to research an area of your interest in extreme depth. So instead of just doing, say, elective topics where you get to focus maybe less than you would in an honours course where you get to research a topic of your choice in a lot of depth and produce some research on that. So for my law honours, I have to write a 13,000 word dissertation on what I've chosen. I'm not sure, 100% sure what it is in criminology, but it's probably a similar kind of approach. And you get a supervisor who's an academic, a specialist in that field, so you can have that guidance there too. So you can do honours in criminology as well. I've just chosen to do my honours in law.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're interested in that, again, get in touch with us or have a bit more of a look into that, because that's sort of another layer that you can add to your study, and is something you can choose right from the outset, but also something you can add later once you've started and got a little bit more of an idea of what you're studying and how you're going to go here. But yeah, definitely something interesting to look into. I guess the other thing we would like to ask is, like, what's been your favourite thing or a highlight of your time studying at Flinders so far?
I think, at least in my criminology degree, my favourite thing was the final topic I actually did in my criminology course, because I'm still doing my law course, but I've finished all the components of my criminology degree. But the last topic that I did, which was with that teacher who came to my high school, because of that, but also because the topic was very theoretical, and it was just kind of a good culmination of everything I'd learnt throughout the course, and it was a big challenge, and I love a challenge, so it's good to really delve deep and do lots of thinking and critical thinking, which is something I really enjoy. So It was a great end to the course, I thought.
Cool. And if someone is watching this at the moment and they're thinking they might want to study at Flinders, and maybe they're looking at criminology or law, they're areas that often overlap, do you have any advice you would give someone, a new student or a student that's thinking about it?
I think my big advice is just to do your research on the Flinders website and in general, just to make sure that it is kind of right for you, at least based on what you read. It might interest you. You might get into it and realise you don't like it, and then you can switch courses, and that's totally fine. But just being informed when you go in, because I will be honest, I wasn't 100% informed when I went in. I thought criminology was about TV shows, and I was lucky to realise that I actually really enjoyed it. I did know a bit about it prior because I did attend that presentation in Year 10, but I probably should have done a bit more reading on the website and really delved deep into what was available to me. But that's my advice. If you can just read up on all these resources that are available to you at the on the Flinders website, which is quite easy to navigate, I think. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a good one. Do your research. And also I think it's a good that you pointed out that you can change. So these kind of things, they're not set in stone. You can move across, do something called internal transfer once you've started a uni degree. Move around. There is that opportunity, which is, again, something I think not everyone's always aware of. Feels like there's a lot of pressure when you're picking that first course, and that you might, be looking at the next, 3, 4, 5 years of your life, but just keeping in mind there is definitely room to move and it can be flexible. And I think I would say too, if that ends up being you and you end up in that boat, reach out and talk to someone about it. Don't just kind of drop out and leave and think you've done the wrong thing. There's lots of other options too. So yeah, good point. Do your research. That's a good one, I think, if you can. That's awesome. So I guess the other part of, studying and coming to uni and spending some time really delving into an area of interest for yourself is possibly that you're looking to work in that field one day. That's pretty common. So I guess some of the things, and this is such a little sort of slice of the pie of what you could be doing with a criminology degree, but things like crime analysis, policing and security is an area that lots of people go on to. Things like criminal justice policy. It's really broad, I guess. It's a degree that kind of sets you up for a whole range of things that you could be doing. So the possibilities are really endless with this one. And also looking at some of those combinations you could do. So like we were saying, if you're interested in the CSI kind of thing and you do want to get into that forensic stuff, you could combine it with forensic science to be doing that sort of both elements, I guess. Things like psychology as well, so sometimes people want to combine those, but again, there's lots of options that we can't kind of cover all here in this one little session, but have a look and like Healy says, do your research, find out a little bit more, and keep in mind that they might be things you add further down the line as well. So keeping those options open. But yeah, lots of careers that could come from criminology. It's a pretty popular course, and it does set you up with some fantastic skills for the workplace. Makes you a pretty employable person if you're interested in that kind of field, in those things as well. All right, so if you've heard all of that and you're thinking, well, this is definitely for me, I think I want to go ahead and sort of get in and really get serious about applying, these are some things to keep in mind. So the ATAR entry for criminology starts at 65, and then there is some other options. So like we were talking about, the honours, so people that might start honours straight away are looking at that higher ATAR of 90. And there is also an option of Bachelor of Law and Society, which is similar. It might be you that are interested in that kind of thing, is an ATAR of about 60. I guess this is just, again, a bit of a snapshot. And I always like to say, if you're looking at those ATARs and either thinking that you don't have an ATAR or you didn't get a great ATAR or you don't think you're going to get a great ATAR if you're still in school and you don't think you're going to reach that, don't let that put you off. There is absolutely always a whole range of entry pathways. So if it's not ATAR entry, you might be looking at things like foundation studies, the STAT test, things like TAFEling. So if you've got TAFE qualifications, you can actually use that as your entry pathway as well. So there are so many other options, I guess. And also if you are looking at, some of those higher scores, there's some really great pathway options. So if it is ATAR entry for you, you might be putting in a couple of options on your preferences that have that lower ATAR and then you could move across into your desired area at a later time. So you can use something called your GPA, which is basically an average of your scores that you can get in the first semester or the first year of your study, and you can use that to move across once you're here, which a lot of people do. So we can definitely, like I said as well, advise on that as well and try and map out that pathway for you. That's what we've got a great admissions team for. I guess the other thing for us to point out at the moment is that online learning has kind of become the norm here for us at Flinders since things sort of kicked off with COVID at the start of the year, and we were lucky our teachers and lecturers did a great job of moving pretty smoothly onto online learning. I don't know, Keely, if you want to talk about your experience, how you found online learning so far?
I've only got one topic at the moment in online learning, which is a law topic, but basically it's on this platform Collaborate, which is on the screen, and it mimics kind of in-person communication. You can raise your hand if you need, you have your microphone, you can speak to the lecturer. They set up breakout groups so you can have small group discussion. The only change is really the forum that it's online, but all those opportunities you have in class are mostly translate over to the online system. Obviously it feels different, but you still have that learning opportunity, and it hasn't detracted from the content or anything.
Absolutely.
Like that.
And so if that's a concern for you, if you're worried about, starting and maybe not being able to come on campus, I guess for one thing, we're looking at the restrictions and keeping up to date with them, so they might change in the near future, but also the support is still there for you if you are starting and it is still online when you start. There's definitely support from all the teaching staff and also all our support services. So things like the counsellors we have on site, our careers team, everything that you could normally access here in person has moved to online. Our FUSA, so our Student Association, I know they're running lots of their groups online. So I guess all of that support hasn't gone away. It's just, like you said, in a bit of a different format, different forum. So something to consider moving forward if you are looking at applying fairly soon. Which, if that is the case for you, or even if you're thinking of applying down the track, a little bit later, if you're currently in year 12, you might be looking at this for 2021 entry, or you might be looking for mid-year, so you might be looking to start fairly soon. That's the end of July for mid-year. You would be going along to the SATAP website, so that's where all of the university applications happen for South Australia. And you can look at the courses, you can search things, you can check the entry requirements there. You do get 6 preferences, and we always tell people to put the thing you want to study the most at the top. And then you can look at some of, like we said, those backup options, those lower plan B options as well, that you can put in there. If you're unsure, there is, like I said, a really great admissions team here that can help you. We've got prospective student advisors that can support you as well. I'll give you the contact details for that in just a minute, because it can be a little bit overwhelming if you're doing that for the first time, but hopefully you've got either maybe someone in your school if you're still at school that can support you, or outside of school, or like I said, someone from here as well can support you to do that too. If that is you and you're looking at that application process, there's a couple of dates here to keep in mind. So for mid-year, like I was saying, that semester is going to start at the end of July, and the applications will close on the 1st of June. So you kind of want to be working towards that date to make sure you don't miss the application, or you can do late applications, but there's extra costs and, some other stuff involved. So try and get it in before that time. There is a fee associated with that. It depends on whether you're a current Year 12 student. If you are a current Year 12 student, you wouldn't be looking at mid-year. You'd be looking at the end of the year for 2021. So we can, again, give you those other dates at another time if that's you or you're in that boat. But if you're feeling ready to go and wanting to start, you can sort of get that process underway right now, which is pretty cool. Like I said, this can be kind of overwhelming, sort of choosing the right course or feeling like you're putting the application in correctly. So if you do feel like you need some support and some help, definitely reach out to us. There is a whole range of ways to get in touch with us. So you can call us, you can actually book a phone appointment. They are generally offered face-to-face as well. We're not doing that quite yet, but you can book a one-on-one sort of longer appointment if you've got some specific circumstances you want to chat with someone about. You can online chat as well, so that's pretty new, but you can jump on our website and you'll see a little chat now button. You can jump on there and have an online chat. You can email the Ask Flinders address. So there is just a whole range of ways to get in touch, whatever suits best, that you can access. And also, I guess the one we like to point out as well is the feedback there. So that's for these webinars that we're running. We really would like to hear if they're useful, if they're helpful, if there's information we've missed that you'd like us to include in future webinars, because we're running quite a comprehensive program over the next few weeks and we're really keen to make sure they're great and they're useful. And if you've got feedback, we're really happy to hear it. But I think that about wraps us up, unless you've got anything else, Keely.
I don't think I have anything else to
No,
add.
I think that's about it from us. So, like I said, almost forgot one more thing. Webinars we're running, like I said, a really comprehensive program. So please, if you're interested in any of the others that are available, you can go into some more depth like there is there, starting your study for mid-year entry on the application process. Studying at Flinders as well will give you some more information, so more in-depth information about what it's like to study here, what the support services are as well, some of that sort of stuff. And we also have what our employers looking for. So if you're wanting to sort of have a bit of an eye on the future about your career, you might want to tune into that one as well. But yeah, there's a whole range of them. Obviously, you've managed to find ours today, so hopefully you've already seen the website and maybe even registered for a couple of the others already. But like I said, we are going to wrap it up here. Please stick around and we're going to turn off the video and the microphones in a minute, but we will be here for another little while. If you want to ask us any questions in the chat, please go ahead and do that if there's anything you want to know. Alternatively, get in touch with us, like I said, have a look on the website. But if that's it for you, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you around maybe on campus one day.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.